So the book of Esther is a very controversial book. God is not mentioned in it at all. It's as if he's not even present. Some of the early scholars even debated if this book should even be in the Bible. But thank God that he preserved the story for us, because even though there's an absence of God in the book, his fingerprint is found on every page, right? He is the main character moving this whole story along. I hope that by reading the story, you'll have to decide for yourself whether this is a major coincidence or divine intervention, right? The events in the story of Esther is written down for us to show us the active hiddenness of God in our lives. So where is God in the story, right? In Deuteronomy chapter 31, where God tells Moses that he's going to die and Joshua is going to take over, right? God also prophesies to Moses what's going to happen to his people and how he's going to respond to them. It says, and the Lord said to Moses, "You are going to rest with your ancestors, and these people will soon prostitute themselves to the foreign gods of the land they are entering. They will forsake me and break the covenant I made with them, and in that day I will become angry with them and forsake them. I will hide my face from them, and they will be destroyed. Many disasters and calamities will come up on them, and in the day they will ask, 'Have not these disasters come up on us because our God is not with us?' And I will certainly hide my face in that day because of all their wickedness in turning to other gods." So you could say that's kind of harsh. I thought God would never leave them and he loves his people, right? But what's going on here is that his people have forsaken him, right? They have rebelled and rejected him. And because he truly loves them, right, he's not going to force them to love him back. Instead, he displays his love and he invites the people to be a part of it. But because the people didn't want God, God said, fine, right? I'll turn my face away from them, right? I'll give them over to their sinful pleasures and to their idols and what they want. So God went completely silent. And the people fell into captivity to Babylon, to Assyrians, to the Persians. And this is where Mordecai and Esther were taken captive, right, in Persia. And the book of Esther should raise the question for us, where is God when bad things happen? So God hid his face from his people for 400 years, right? For 400 years, he went completely silent. When it seemed like God has forsaken them and he has forgotten his promise, we step into the New Testament, right? And once again, we see God speak. But this time, not through prophets and not through the same ways like before. This time, it was through his Son. And this Son was the Word of God himself in the flesh. And he's the exact representation of God himself on earth. The gospel says because we're all born wicked, we have all broken God's covenant and deserve to be separated from God for eternity. But God sent Jesus, right, who was able to keep the law and the covenant of God while we couldn't. And on the cross, Jesus exchanged his relationships and his righteousness with God to take our wickedness onto himself. Right? It's recorded in Matthew 27. It says, "At noon, darkness fell across the whole land until 3 o'clock. Jesus called out with a loud voice, 'Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani,' which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Right? Jesus felt the abandonment and separation of the Father so that you could be brought close to him. Jesus took the destruction and disaster so that we could be delivered and be made right. So through the story of Esther, I want us to see that our God is a God that keeps promises, right? A God that placed Esther's and Mordecai's in the position of power to preserve his people and to punish his enemies, right? So if you feel like God has been absent in your prayers, and if you feel like you've been abandoned by God, don't lose heart. Don't lose heart. Remember that even when we don't see him, even when we don't feel him, even when we don't hear him, he promises to never leave us or forsake us, right? Jesus says, "I'll be with you till the very end." This is the gospel of Jesus Christ through the story of Esther.